The CDC has released its most clear-cut guidelines on masks. Why they say the N95 offers some of the best protection against COVID and how the president plans to give them to every American for free. Plus, delays are on the way for drivers. Where and when does UDOT's newest project start? And the price of one of the most popular streaming services is going up. Why Netflix subscribers will have to shell out more cash for their favorite TV shows and movies.
Live, we're there for you. ABC 4 News at 5 starts now.
Good evening, I'm Jordan Burrows. Thanks for joining us tonight for ABC 4 News at 5 o'clock. Almost 2 years into the pandemic, masking continues to be an issue. The CDC has been changing its guidelines, but now the organization has released its most detailed guidance yet. They say it should remove concerns related to supply shortages for those N95 masks. ABC 4's Lena Takata is live in the studio. Lena, you read over those guidelines. What do Utahns need to know?
Jordan, according to the CDC's new guidance, masks are made to contain droplets and particles you breathe or cough out and can provide some protection from particles spread by others if it fits tightly. Respirators, which are specialized filtering masks like N95s, protect you by filtering particles out of the air, including the COVID-19 virus. The CDC's updated guidance clarifies respirators like N95 or KN95 provide the best protection. It recommends people caring for COVID patients, workers that interact with a lot of people, people riding in public transportation or in crowded spaces, or those not up to date on vaccinations should consider wearing one. But the guidance does not say to get rid of your cloth or surgical masks and says no matter what mask you choose to make sure it fits properly.
An N95 is best if you have access, great. A KN95 is better. A surgical mask, particularly if everyone is wearing them, is pretty decent. It is not perfect, and cloth masks are better than nothing.
On Thursday, President Biden said high-quality masks would be provided free to all Americans. The White House is expected to announce the details next week, including what type of masks the government will be providing. Jordan, back to you.
Thank you very much, Lena. As cases of COVID-19 continue to rise, fueled by the Omicron variant, the CDC has updated more than just its guidance on masks. Here's ABC's Phil Lipoff with how the country is dealing with the latest surge.
Cases of COVID-19 continue to surge across the country. The U.S. reporting an average of 782,000 new cases a day. Nationwide, more than 150,000 COVID-19 positive patients are hospitalized. That's a pandemic high.
It's really bad. It came about real fast. I thought COVID would be over, but after the holidays, it hit very hard.
With the highly transmissible Omicron variant fueling this latest surge, the CDC updating its guidance on masks, saying any mask is better than none, but masks that fit well, like N95s and ones you can wear constantly, offer the best protection. The Biden administration is working to make higher quality masks more widely available and free to all Americans.
We all wish that we could finally be done with wearing masks. I get it. But they're a really important tool to stop the spread, especially of a highly transmittable Omicron variant.
Free rapid tests will also be available to order starting next week at covidtest.gov. As cases continue to skyrocket, many are still waiting in long lines to get tested. States like Utah have trouble meeting testing demands.
Not only do we have a personnel shortage, but there is a testing shortage.
Officials there urging symptomatic people to stay home for 5 days rather than get tested. Meantime, many schools have already switched to remote learning, but some are staying with current guidelines of testing to stay in class.
Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe!
Students from schools in Chicago and Boston walking out of class to protest in-person learning.
I live with 2 grandparents who are immune compromised, plus a couple of other family members, so I don't want to go to school, risk getting sick, and then have to come home to them.
Phil Lipoff, ABC News, New York.
All right, now let's take a look from the Cottonwoods today. That inversion is still pretty bad. Been like this for a while. Precipitation has been fairly low this week. So, of course, let's check in with Pinpoint weather forecast Caesar, any end to this in sight? This nasty inversion air, it's just been so gross for a while.
Jordan, you can say that again. Unfortunately, we continue to see this kind of a trend really hang around a lot of the valleys here. Looking from West Valley over towards parts of the Wasatch Mountains, you can see that inversion really hanging on and trapping all of that smog. One thing the inversion also does is create fog for us. This was captured here by Scott Taylor earlier this morning. Antelope Island looking pretty great out there, but probably some of that is also smog as well. We've just seen all of this gross air really just hanging around the surface. Unfortunately, we see plenty of high pressure. Again, that's what allows it to really take hold. It's all of that clear skies and the cooling overnight that we continue to have really just settling in and allowing for all of that air to really stagnate. Temperatures continue to stay on the cooler, if not seasonal side. We did reach a high of the mid 40s here in Salt Lake City, only in the 20s right now in Logan, still seeing some 50s and 40s throughout southern and central Utah. So overall, not a bad way to really start off the weekend. But what about that air quality? Are we going to see any improvements as we head along into the week? Well, I'll have more coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast. Jordan, over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Caesar. If you are planning on traveling this weekend, you need to incorporate some extra time into that drive. The Utah Department of Transportation says drivers can expect delays in Salt Lake City on I-80 westbound between 2300 East and 1300 East. They say the freeway will be reduced to one lane starting tonight at 7 o'clock, and that will last until tomorrow at 10 p.m. They say if you can, choose an alternate route like using I-215 to I-15 to avoid delays. A teacher at Grantsville High School has now been arrested. 33-year-old Richard Craig Harrison has been arrested for 9 counts of forcible sexual abuse on a minor and 1 count of object rape. Harrison was a health teacher and physical education coach at the high school. The victim, a 14-year-old at the time, said the alleged abuse started in 2017 and then the year later in 2018. They say they were abused at multiple locations throughout the school. Harrison saying he vaguely remembers the assault incidences. Now, of course, if you or anyone you know is experiencing sexual assault or rape, please call the number that we would have listed on your screen right now. That's 188-42. In developing news now, Cache County deputy and investigators are currently in Lewiston on reports of a stabbing. Authorities say the incident started as a fight between a brother and a sister, both of whom are adults. The brother is currently being treated for his wounds while police investigate further. We, of course, will keep you updated with the latest information on ABC4 News, abc4news.com, that is. A new campaign for public schools is starting soon that will provide period products for students. The Policy Project says 68% of girls miss class due to lack of period products. They say the campaign, called the Utah Period Project, will include teens from over 60 different high schools and middle schools here in Utah. The teens will be taught about their ability to affect change in the state legislation and how to have their voice heard. You can find more information about this and when the events will be taking place on our website at abc4.com. Now to an update on the man who was found naked in a river after crashing his car and fleeing from police. Police say the man is 43 years old and have not yet released his name. They say shortly after the crash, deputies along with K-9 units began tracking the man in 2.5 inches of snow for nearly 4 miles. 2 hours later, they found that man naked in a river, suffering from abrasions and severe hypothermia, causing him to lose consciousness after being in the cold for more than 3 hours. Any more information that we have will be on our website at abc4.com. Salt Lake City will now be expanding the child and adult care food program to Fair Park. The CACFP is a federally funded program that provides organizations with reimbursement for nutritious meals or snacks. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall says the expansion of the program will help provide more families have access to nutritious food. CACFP says meals are available at all sites except the Fair Park site, which is expected to start serving meals later this month. And coming up, an undersea volcanic eruption turns tsunami. Sends the Pacific island of Tonga in a frenzy. That video crazy. How big was that eruption? How Salt Lake City leaders are stepping up to help. And winter is bringing in some cold temperatures. What heating hacks you can follow that can help save you some money.
And here's a live look outside the doTERRA Salt Lake City downtown camera. Still seeing all of that smog hanging around. Do we get any relief? I'll have more coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast.
You're watching ABC4 News.
Much of the Pacific island nation of Tonga is flooded as tsunami waves crashed onto its main island today. This is video from off the coast of Pacifica, California, where a tsunami advisory was issued along with the entire west coast. Reports say an undersea volcano erupted, causing tsunami waves to hit the nation of Tonga. The U.S. Geological Survey estimated the eruption caused the equivalent of a magnitude 5.8 earthquake. The waves were also measured almost 3 feet tall. And today, Chief Mike Brown with Salt Lake City Police issued the following statement regarding the tsunami. That quote says, "I have reached out to leaders of the Utah and Salt Lake Tongan community to offer the full support of the Salt Lake City Police Department. The Tongan and other NHPI communities work closely with us to promote activities for youth and to build stronger relationships," end quote. Investigators say a man has taken several hostages at a synagogue in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, demanding a known terrorist be released from prison. An official confirms the White House is closely monitoring the situation and is referring any questions to the FBI and law enforcement at this time. Here's ABC's Alex Prescia with the latest.
The situation unfolded at a synagogue in the Dallas-Fort Worth area Saturday morning. Authorities say an armed suspect has taken hostages at Congregation Beth Israel. The Colleyville Police Department SWAT team responded to the scene, evacuating residents in the immediate area. A source tells ABC News that the hostage taker has demanded that a woman named Afia Siddiqui be released from prison. Siddiqui is a known terrorist incarcerated at Carswell Air Force Base near Fort Worth. She was sentenced to 86 years in prison after being convicted in Manhattan federal court in 2010 of trying to kill U.S. soldiers and FBI agents in Afghanistan. The FBI, along with local authorities and hostage negotiators, are on the scene. The White House and Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas has been briefed on the situation. Alex Prescia, ABC News, Washington.
The forecast for this winter is going to be costlier than in years past. Heating prices expected to soar. And Phil Lipoff is here with the hacks that can save you some money.
The Vaughn family of Barrington, Rhode Island love their home, but parents Brian and Amanda say the frigid New England winters are putting a freeze on their savings.
The heating last year was quite a surprise.
A surprise indeed. Their yearly gas and electric bills totaling more than $3,700.
Is that a lot of money? Wow.
To dial down some of those costs, we brought in energy expert Ben Bixby.
Are you guys ready to save some money?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
First up, he says hunt for the hidden cracks and holes in your house. That's where 25 to 40% of the average home's warmth leaks out.
Some leaks are harder to find, others are easier to find. You know, like when you have a big hole in the floor there.
Ben says pay special attention to the windows in your laundry room, where we find a hole.
Every time you turn your dryer on, you're actually creating negative pressure, which is pulling even more cold air into the house.
The fix? Seal it up with some $10 foam sealant. And if you have AC vents, don't forget to close them.
During the winter, you know, the hot air can just escape straight up there.
Just plugging those holes already saving the Vaughn family $160 a year. Next up, don't overlook hidden weak spots, those thin areas you might not be able to see but are still costing you money, like behind radiators. Using a thermal camera, you can see the dark area where valuable heat is getting out. We install reflective backing to direct some of that heat back into the room.
For the whole house, this is going to save you probably $48 each and every year.
Finally, buy a smart thermostat from companies like Honeywell or Nest. In addition to controlling it with your smartphone, it monitors your family's heating habits and automatically turns off when not needed, even if you forget.
Just this winter alone, we expect that you're going to see, over $80 in savings. Now we're in winter mode.
One more thing to keep in mind, when it gets this dangerously cold outside, it can be dangerous inside your home as well. A few tips. Keep anything that can burn at least 3 feet away from home heating equipment like furnace, fireplace, wood stove, portable space heater. Have heating equipment and chimneys cleaned and inspected every year by a qualified professional. And of course, test those smoke alarms at least once a month, because in a worst case scenario, they will give you that first alert. Phil Lipoff, ABC News, New York.
Netflix is now raising their standard subscription price by $1.50. The price for a standard Netflix subscription will now be $15.49. Netflix says that it's updating its prices so that it can offer a wide variety of entertainment options, including video game options. It says that members can also choose from a variety of different plans for a price that works for their budget. Following the price increase, Netflix's stock rose roughly 2%.
And looking at what we have for the next few hours, temperatures will remain on the cooler side as we still have that haze hanging around. I'll have more coming up in Utah's most accurate forecast.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Cesar Cornejo, weather rate certified 10 years in a row.
All right, that winter inversion unfortunately still sticking around. Thank goodness we have Cesar Cornejo here to break it down. Cesar?
Well, Jordan, we're still expecting to see that it's not just the Salt Lake Valley, but also parts of Utah County as well. Here, looking from our Lake Mountain camera, can already see that some of that haze is hanging around right by Point of Mountain, Lehigh, and over into parts of northern Utah as well. We've all seen it, and unfortunately, it is sticking around. But one thing that we did get to see is some clearer skies throughout the overnight hours. Chris Williams did send this picture in. Beautiful one here from Antelope Island. And if you have pictures, please send them in. We always love showing them on air and online. You can expect to see with your There For You weather headlines. Haze continues and that stubborn high pressure really sticks around, which leads to air quality concerns. But will we see any relief? I'll have more of that in just a moment. Current satellite and radar continues to show that we have that high pressure hanging around. And what does that mean? Well, we all know it's clear skies, very calm conditions, very stable air mass, and that's really what allows that inversion to continue to build in. As our temperatures continue to really plummet during the overnight hours, thanks to those clear skies, we get that cold pool of air hanging around in the valleys, really just allowing for all of that pollution to get trapped. When we look at futurecasts and put it in motion tomorrow, again, high pressure just still continues to move around, and that stable air mass hangs with us. Going into Monday as well, that's what we expect to see. Let's zoom out and look at what else goes on. We do have a quick moving system over towards parts of the prairies, but that really doesn't break much of this high pressure for us. So unfortunately, we're not going to get much of a break from the inversion going into parts of Wednesday, but the cloud cover should help really clear us out a little bit. So right now, we're still in the moderate for today, but as we look ahead for the next 2 days, unhealthy for sensitive groups. That cold front did help out on Friday, scrub our air a little, but not by much. Looking at the rest of this weekend, we can expect to see a pretty chilly overnight, but then as we go into throughout Sunday and on Monday, temperatures hanging around the 40s, but again, very hazy. And as we look at throughout the rest of the week, we're going to be right there, right around that seasonal mark. So overall, not going to be very cold, but still something to keep in mind if you're looking to go out and about. Regional forecast for tonight and tomorrow, expecting to have those temperatures ranging around the 20s, 30s, and even some teens, such as parts of northern Utah, eastern Nevada. But looking at St. George's 7-day forecast, we'll have temperatures hanging around those 50s, some partly cloudy skies as well. And then we start to clear out as we get into Wednesday, Thursday, temperatures around that mid-50 mark once again. Looking at the Wasatch Front, we'll have plenty of haze still really hanging around. Temperatures hanging around those 40s for our highs, 20s for our lows. We start to see a little bit of a cloud cover making its way in thanks to one quick hitting system by Thursday, Friday, but it really remains dry. Maybe a few snowflakes for parts of the higher elevations, but overall still lacking that precipitation. Jordan, over to you.
Yeah, Caesar, definitely some dry temperatures around here, but NFL playoffs, hopefully the weather doesn't affect them too much.
What do we care? It's January. We're still playing football. It's awesome, right? Yeah, the NFL playoffs started today. Real Salt Lake talks about replacing its captain, and the Utah Jazz are looking for their young leaders to learn through this tough stretch of the season. Sports is coming up next.
Time now for ABC4 News Sports with Wesley Ruff.
The Utah Jazz will be getting some players back in time for tomorrow night's game against the Nuggets in Denver, but it might take a game or two to get them reacclimated. Rudy Gobert and Rudy Gay are both out of the NBA COVID protocol. They will be back in the lineup. The Jazz have lost 4 straight games, though, mostly because the defense has been non-existent with Gobert out. This losing streak has tested everyone, including Donovan Mitchell, who's one of the leaders of the Jazz, but according to Rudy Gay, this is the first time anyone on this team has been through anything like this before.
I don't think some of our younger leaders have been faced with this kind of adversity, and it's something that builds character, you know, and I think this is something that, you know, Don specifically, I think, you know, for the most part in his career, he hasn't had to deal with stuff like this. This team has always been pretty good, so I think, you know, this is something that, you know, kind of like a deer in the headlights kind of situation for him, but I expect him to be better in the future because of it. And this is a learning experience for him, coach, the guys that were out, everybody. We know that this is a team that we need everybody to win, and we're going to continue to build on that.
Jazz Nuggets tomorrow, but coming up tonight, you've got some college basketball. Utah will have its hands full as it takes on 6th-ranked Arizona. Utah State will be home to take on the Wyoming Cowboys. BYU will take on the Dons in San Francisco at 8 o'clock. Also at 8 o'clock, it's Utah Valley visiting Cal Baptist. And the NFL playoffs are underway. One game going on right now, an AFC matchup between the Bengals and the Raiders going on in Cincinnati. The Raiders took the lead Early in this one, 3-0, but from then on, it's been all Bengals. They were up 20-13 at the half. The teams have traded field goals in the second half since he just kicked another one. So now they lead 26-16. One other game coming up later tonight. It will be New England at Buffalo to take on the Bills. That one starts at 6:15. And in football of another kind, Real Salt Lake has been busy the last few days, signing players, making moves as they get ready to start the 2022 season. Head coach Pablo Mastroni says even with the new faces, the framework is here for success.
The infrastructure is here. I think the mentality is here, and I think we did a great job of creating an identity last year, and now it's just making the improvements in the slots, and that will kind of solidify the whole group.
One of the biggest moves they'll have to make is finding someone to replace Albert Rusnak, who recently signed with Seattle.
I exchanged texts with Albert yesterday. He's excited to be in Seattle, and really now it's about moving forward and finding a player that's going to come in and produce like Albert did for our group. I'm optimistic that we'll find that player before the season starts. But again, I think the most important part of this whole thing is to make sure we get the right fit and not hurry ourselves in getting a player just to fill that void.
Well, this is crazy. Real's first game, February 27th. Wow. And they signed the youngest player ever, a 14-year-old. I don't know what you guys were doing when you were 14, but I'm guessing it wasn't playing professional sports.
No, you think you're going to be good at sports at 14, but to get that deal, that's...
And then reality sets in,
right?
right?
Pretty insane. And as far as reality is concerned, Caesar, that inversion, will we ever see it go away?
Well, Jordan, at least for tomorrow, not going to expect much of that. So we'll still have that sunshine really hanging around for parts of Salt Lake City, 43 degrees. Going to be calm with the winds. Looking at St. George, 56, increasing cloud cover and slightly breezy at times, but not going to see much in the way of that really disturbing us. Again, that inversion really still hangs around, Jordan, for us.
All right, Caesar, thank you very much. That's all for us tonight at 5 o'clock. Of course, we'll see you tonight at 10 o'clock. And remember, we're always online on the web at abc4.com.